Get the opinion, got the feeling. I got my mindset, I'm dealing when we move through. Every single night, every time the radio moves, you know we say it right. Our opinion, got the feeling, know what we dealing. Opinion, running out to the ceiling. Lord knows, this wrestling fan got the world goes. We move as the world goes. This is our time. Now we speaking everything you want to talk and everything that you believe. The feeling, it's off the top rope. Squishy, and now we move the goddess soul. Every move is solved. The problem is solved that we live every single day. You know what we know. Yeah, we live from the top rope. We live from the top rope. We live from the top rope. We live from the top rope, yeah. You know when it's on, when we on, You know when it's on, that we on, You know that it's on, that we on, We off the top rope, we off the top rope.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Top Rope Squishy. I hope you guys enjoyed my theme song. It was created a while ago by Montezi, and I did not get to clip it and do anything with it until now because that's what I do. I'm a procrastinator. But anyway, thank you once again for being here. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I actually have a wrestler on my show today, the Masked Menace. People, I'm going to say hello and I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell people where you can find him, where you can follow him, if he has merch, all that good stuff. Take it away.
Thank you very much. Once again, I would like to say thank you for having me on your show. I'm honored being, like you told me, the first wrestler on your podcast. Thank you. That's an honor. I appreciate that. People can find me on Facebook. It is Arch Clarence Kent. They can find me on Twitter, which is at Kent_Arch. For some odd reason, they put it that way. I don't know why. On Instagram, it is the.maskmenace. I also have a TikTok called at Arch Clarence Kent, and I have a YouTube called Masked Menace. I have photos, but as of right now, the only way I can get them to people is if they show up at the shows, which is kind of a hindrance when you're trying to sell merch.
Right.
I'm working on some shirts. I got some shirts in the work that I'm going to try to get created. I'm going to be creating some new pictures soon. Hopefully get those all sold. Hopefully I can get I don't really trust PayPal and I don't really trust the Cash App. I will say this, I've had to block multiple people who have asked me about Cash App because one being, when you tell me you have like $1 million you want to send me through a Cash App, I kind of get a little hesitant, and I'm like, okay, you're trying to take my money, so blocked.
It's a spam.
I mean, I work hard for my money. I'm not gonna let somebody take my money. I mean, so I'm hesitant when it comes to transferring things online. But I mean, if anybody wants merch, I can do like a money order where I can have them send it to a PO box. Once I get the money, then I can send them the merch that they paid for. So, but that's the only way I'm comfortable with doing right now. Unless they come to a live show. Right now, we wrestle around North Carolina. So, if you're in North Carolina, come to places like Vail, North Carolina. And you can purchase some merch of mine. Like I said, I
We,
got some shirts in the works,
when's
so
your
I
next,
will. Yeah,
when's your next show?
I'll let people know. Our next show is actually November the 12th, but our preview show we have going on, I think we're going to do in about not this weekend. I think it'll be next weekend, maybe.
Mhm.
And those are free. Anybody wants to come to Vail, North Carolina on a Sunday in the afternoon, we do bell times are 2:30 for preview shows. We do like for roughly around 40 minutes, and all because people still have church to go to. We got some preachers that work with that work in the company. They have to preach, so they got church afterwards. It just fits better. Uh, and it's free. Preview shows are completely free. They can come on out, watch, cheer on their favorite wrestlers, and meet some new wrestlers who may become their favorite wrestlers or their new favorite, most hated wrestlers. So
Uh-huh.
one of those. I mean, I just got finished doing a great show last weekend. This past weekend, October the 8th, we drew roughly 100 people. That's
Nice.
only because the fair was in town, and that kind of killed us. So usually we can draw around three. One time we almost drew 1,000 people because we have an outside show. We almost drew 1,000 people, close to it.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Well, I'm gonna be putting all the links in the description. I'm gonna update it where you can find the Masked Menace Arch and anything that's coming up. So make sure that you check back to see that. But since you're here, I wanted to ask you just a few questions, about your wrestling before we jump into AEW, which was
Understandable.
but yeah, so what got you into wrestling? How did you get started?
I actually love that. I actually love that question. I got asked that question on Ringside Society, and
Oh,
um, ever since I was a kid, I watched the Rock and Roll Express versus the Midnight Express, Chi-Town Heat, the scaffolding match, which is I've never been in a scaffolding match, and I prefer to keep it that way because I don't like heights. I mean, I'll go ahead and say this: odds are you're probably never gonna see me climb to the top of the turnbuckle because I'm afraid of heights. I did it once. I did it once,
no top
and
ropes.
plus it's like I don't know if people really realize it's really hard to keep your balance on those ropes. You know, I mean, so I try not to climb high elevations. Uh, but scaffolding match, Rock and Roll Express versus Midnight Express. Jim Cornette was the manager. I loved the match. I remember it because my dad and my mom had the tape back when, and I'm going to show my age here. This is back when we had VCRs. You know,
Ooh, I remember VCRs, so
yeah.
don't worry about that.
And we'd pop it in, we'd watch it. I remember they also had a Sting match on it. Um, I know Ronnie Garvin was on the man with the fists of stone, Ronnie Garvin. I
Mhm.
remember him being on it. It was just cool. I watched that event, fell in love with it. Been a fan of wrestling ever since. I
Sweet.
didn't start training to become a wrestler till I was 32.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's impressive. I
Oh yeah,
mean,
definitely.
if you can still do it, like if your body lets you and you can do it,
Oh
why not? You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely,
I
definitely. I was like, a friend was like this. He's like, "Hey, I know a guy. He's looking for some wrestlers for the show. He's bringing back his federation in Vail, North Carolina. I was wondering, do you want to be a wrestler?" And I'm like, let me talk to my wife because ironically, the only one I really cared about if they were okay with it of me being a wrestler was my wife
yeah,
because
she has
I
to deal
gotta
with
come
broken
home
bones.
to her. I gotta be able to come home to my wife, and I don't need my wife being like, no, you can't enter this house, okay? And she already told me, she's like, if you get injured, you're gonna take care of yourself, okay? I mean, I've learned that ice and heat pad works Right. Wonder.
So that leads me into the next question. What is your favorite part about being a wrestler? Is it the in-ring? Is it the character work? Is it the gear? Is it a combo? Is it just what is it that actually
Well, I would say I'd love to say it's I get to beat up any member of the Appalachian Mafia in ACW, which I totally enjoy doing any chance I can get. But I'd have to say it's the promos I get to cut because the promos are part of telling the story.
Yes.
The promos help tell the story, and you get to go into the ring and finish out the story that you have created. So I love the promos. The fact that I get a mic and talk, or I get to post it on Facebook. That's the wonderful part of Facebook and online and Twitter, because back in the 90s they didn't have this. Okay, so you only saw their promos on TV. Okay, and everybody knows they're limited on the amount of time they get to have promos. Well, if I'm doing my promos on Facebook and Twitter and get to do all that stuff, by the time I get to the wrestling ring for an event, I've already said everything I need to say. All I need to do is back up what I've said. So
that's true. That's very true. So of everyone that you've wrestled, I'm pretty sure you still have a list of people, right? That you probably would like to get in the ring against. Mm-hmm. Give me like your top 2 people that if you can have a match with them this week, it would be on.
I'm glad you said top 2. The last time I was on podcast Ringside Society's podcast, they asked for my top 5, and I struggled to find top 5. And then by the time I got finished listing them, I realized I've listed 8. And I'm like,
whoa,
okay, wow, that wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. Top 2, if I could pick today, I mean, it can be anybody, right? Not just the independents?
Anywhere.
Okay. I would have to say Jon Moxley and MJF.
Sweet.
See, I think MJF's a great wrestler. I love his take. He said in an interview, he wrestles sporadically and not as much because he looks at himself as an attraction. Well, kind of like Andre the Giant was. Andre the Giant was an attraction. You didn't see him wrestle as much.
Right.
And all. And when he did wrestle, it was something big. MJF does that. He's a great worker on the mic. He's got great in-ring skills. I think I could pull off a good match with him. I mean, especially if I do something wrong, I know he'll be there to be like, okay, we changed the direction of this match. We do that. And like I said, Jon Moxley, only because, I just love to do things the hard way. People think I'm glutton for punishment, and I probably am, but I just love to have a match with Jon Moxley. As long as it doesn't involve barbed wire, glass, fire, thumbtacks, I'll be good. Okay?
I'll be good. Death match. We're good.
Yeah. I don't like doing death matches, okay? No offense to anyone who skills in lion death match. That's a skill set all on its own and requires to have a very high threshold of pain.
Yes.
Okay. A threshold of pain that I don't hold. Okay. That's just me. And plus I feel it shortens your career too much. Like I don't like heck, we heard that story where David, I'm pretty sure you heard it. I know I've heard it. David Arquette got into a match with Nick Gage and a death match thing.
Yes, I saw it.
Because he didn't listen to Nick Gage, he moved himself, and Nick Gage accidentally cut right here. Yeah. This artery right down here, and David Arquette almost bled out. No, I don't want to be part of that.
No, you don't need to. You don't need to do matches like that. Those types of gimmick matches to have good matches. So, and Jon Moxley can put on.
I'll come and watch somebody do a death match. I'll watch it with a smile on my face because I'm like, go ahead, murder yourself. So I'm not part of it.
It ain't gonna be me.
Yeah, ain't gonna be me. No.
So one last question before we move into last night's AEW, and this is not wrestling related. I kind of like to ask people this. What is like your favorite cheat meal? Like
cheat meal.
cheat meal? You've been training, you've been watching it, and it's time to eat something that I love. What's your go-to?
I can only pick one. Well, that's hard because I'm not really the best when it comes to my diet. I mean,
What's your go-to dessert?
All the things that they say that you shouldn't eat while training, I'm guilty for eating all of those things. I mean, that's just me. But what I do in return is after I eat that, I work out like 3 times as hard as I normally would, so it doesn't build up on me. I have realized here lately, I've cut out a lot of Cheetos. I've cut those out. I ate more chicken now. I probably ate more chicken building up for this past show that we did. Which I will say I expected to wrestle more. I didn't expect to get handcuffed to the ring and kind of be systematically removed from the match, but I promised myself I would get over that and I'd leave it in the past, but it's a work in progress. I would have to say, so meal-wise, my favorite, God, I'd have to say I haven't had a grilled cheese sandwich in like forever. I mean, I love grilled cheese sandwich. I mean, there's that, and I'd have to say pizza. But my dessert,
love pizza.
It's actually a dessert that I had on a cruise one time, and I can't find it. Or if I do find it, I can't find anybody who makes it as good as them. It's like this melting, molten lava cake. Okay, it's this cake, and when you cut into it, like all of this liquid chocolate is coming out of it. Definitely not healthy when you're trying to train for wrestling.
No, a melting molten lava cake. No, not healthy. But hey, YOLO, right? You only live once.
Right, so. Right, exactly. And I also have an intense case of FOMO, fear of missing out. Okay.
Fear of missing out. Okay. Word. Same here. All right. Well, thank you for answering those questions. And at the end of the show, you're going to get some hot seat questions. They're not about wrestling. They're just would you rather questions type of deal. Okay. So everybody gets the hot seat and you're not going to be able to skip it. All right. So.
Okay. Hey, that's fine. I also have a story if you don't mind, I'd like to tell later on in the thing, which is totally, completely wrestling related. But I'll still tell that later.
You can go ahead and tell it now before we jump into things. Because once I start going, I have like a pattern I follow.
Okay. First off, you know how fans like to say, "Oh, they're wrestling. It's fake, right? It's fake. It's not real." Okay. I hate that word. Okay. I hate that word. I hate the word fake. Okay. When I tell people that something that's done to somebody on TV, that's gotta hurt. There's a reason why I say that's gotta hurt. I've experienced that, so I know it hurts. I experienced one similar situation. We were training for the Wow Factor Party Pavilion. We were getting ready for that. We were gonna make our debut at Wow Factor Party Pavilion. The company I wrestled for was gonna make our debut at Wow Factor Party Pavilion in Lincolnton, North Carolina. We only wrestled there once. We're never gonna wrestle there again. I'm not gonna get into the details of why. It's just business related.
Okay.
But so I'm training, and the guy, totally my fault, by the way, my fault, not his. I want to go ahead and air that out. I don't want anyone to go like, "Oh my God, you're reckless in the ring and you shouldn't." No, he knew what he was doing. It was my fault. He goes to do a standing vertical suplex. Okay, those hesitate. You see him in wrestling all the time. They hold him up in the air and the blood rushes to their brain and everything. Well, you're supposed to bend your knees when you go so you don't land completely on your butt. Okay, and like break your tailbone. Which I didn't break my tailbone. Okay. What I did was I bent my knees too soon. And I'm guessing you know where this is going, right? Okay. When I suplex, my legs go underneath me, bends up, my heels touch my rear end, and I feel this pain in my knees. They say by all rights and purposes, I should have totally shattered my kneecaps and tore every tendon in my leg. But thankfully I didn't. I was sore as I'll ever get out, and it was a quick lesson of what not to do when you are getting ready for a match.
There you go.
So, see, that's the first time story. I haven't told anybody that on any podcast at all. So that's an exclusive right there.
Hey, you heard it here first. Well, I'm glad you didn't shatter your kneecaps because that.
So am I. So am I. That would have been like the end of my career. And at that time, I'd only wrestled like one match before that. So I'm like, oh, yeah.
Thank God. It could have been so much
worse. I had rolled out of the ring and I was holding my knees. And at that time, I didn't think I was going to be able to stand up. And luckily, I'm part of a federation that cares for their wrestlers and worries about their wrestlers' health and safety. Mm-hmm. So literally 4 days later, I was ready to go for the show at Wow Factor Pro Pavilion. My knees were still sore.
Wow.
So,
the life of a wrestler, right? You have to
not easy.
Bumps for real. Yeah, it's not easy. You gotta love what you do because this is not an easy gig. No matter what people say, shit ain't easy.
Also love people's whole fantasy where they think, oh, independent wrestlers get paid lots of money. No, they don't. No. We're lucky if we make money off of our pictures. That's mainly where our money comes from, our merch sales. So for everybody who may be listening, support independent wrestlers. That buy their merch, do whatever. That's how they pay their bills.
Yep.
Love your shirt. What does it say?
Main event.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Support independence. All right. So Dynamite yesterday.
Dynamite.
I gave it an overall score out of 10. I gave it an 8.5 because I thought it was really good. What do you think? Was it good?
Well, one, I very rarely give anything a 10 because by giving a 10, it means it was perfect. And I believe there's always room for improvement. And I don't believe there's any such thing as perfect. I believe in football, you can have a perfect season. I believe in sports in general, you can have a perfect team, but you are not perfect. It's just like there's always room for improvement. People always try to strive for perfection. I try not to strive for perfection. I try to strive to be better than I was yesterday because I know perfection is not happening. Overall, I'd give it probably an 8.5 like you. That's my rating for you. Yeah.
Right. So yesterday's AEW debuted with a super surprise. But I think a lot of people kind of saw this one coming. Renee Paquette.
Paquette. Love the woman. Great woman. Great woman.
She joined AEW. She joined her husband Moxley. And I think that we are so lucky to have her. As you can see, she is not shy. She was great on the mic. Like she had been doing it in AEW this whole entire time. Not like this was her first night. And that was an amazing way to open up the show. And she introduced the first match, which was Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Luchasaurus. It was, it's the absolute end of Jurassic Express. In case you didn't know, now you know.
Definitely.
Luchasaurus won. What do you think? What did you your overall thought about that match?
One, I think Christian Cage, even though he's in a sling, played a very vital role in that match. Yes, and I've always thought Christian played a better heel than he was a babyface. And I love the fact that his shirt says "Worked Everyone" because he did. He came in making everybody think he was this good guy, this wholesome guy, and then within a span of the year, he turns, and his shirt says it perfectly. Worked everyone. It was fantastic. I loved it. I think Jungle Boy. I mean,
it's great.
I don't think he's reached the top of his potential. I think he's only tapping into what we can see as a single star now. And I think Luchasaurus always had the making of a great, unstoppable monster. I mean, I just did. I think the match only work to serve each of the wrestlers better and to build both of their characters up. I mean, look at how many times Luchasaurus tried to put Jungle Boy away and it didn't work, and Jungle Boy tried to put Luchasaurus away and it didn't work. It was fantastic. I loved it. I give that match 4 stars.
Yeah, that match actually surprised me. I haven't really been invested in this Jurassic Express breakup story, but the match that happened yesterday kind of piqued my interest. It was amazing. It was really good. I did not expect it to be this good, so I'm happy that it was, because it was an amazing opener. And yes, Christian Cage played a huge part in all of this. This led to a Matt Hardy wanting to free Private Party. I mean, we don't really have to get into this, but clearly what they're trying to do is remove people from Andrade's faction, because I don't think we're going to see him anytime soon or again. And they're trying to say that Private Party now belongs to the Stokely group. And well, the thing is that they made a deal with Ethan Page. He's going up against Isaiah Cassidy, that if Isaiah Cassidy loses, not only will they continue to own Private Party, they will now own Matt Hardy's contract too. So that's the stipulation on that match. I really don't know which way this is going to sway. I just hope that Isaiah wins and Private Party is freed from being owned by anyone, because I think they were excellent when they first debuted in AEW and had their own thing and were on their own.
Cool. Can I touch on that for a bit? Is it good if I touch on that? Okay. First off, well, you mentioned how they're trying to remove him from Andrade's faction, and how you mentioned we're probably not going to see him for a bit. You're probably right. We probably won't see him for a bit, if we see him at all, really, anymore. But on that, because of the whole altercation that happened between him and Sammy, I kind of feel bad for AEW. I do, because at times I think they're shooting themselves in the foot. I do, because there should be nowhere near as many backstage altercations as they had this year alone. Well, I mean, it shouldn't. It sucks. I mean, I love AEW. I do. I absolutely love AEW, and I think they have the potential to last forever. But Andrade and all these other wrestlers picking fights with one another, it's got to stop. I mean, it's not working for your company. On that, I love the whole firm. I love the firm. I love Stokely Hathaway. Okay. I love the fact that they brought in formerly known as Big Cass, Morrissey, W. Morrissey.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that Ethan Page is getting more screen time.
Yes.
Because I think that was the thing I had a problem with when it came to Men of the Year. Yeah, it's Scorpio Sky, and we were seeing Scorpio Sky matches, but we weren't seeing Ethan Page. And I just felt that they had put Ethan Page in a position where he was like just carrying Scorpio Sky's bags and all. And Ethan Page is a talented individual. He can work on anything. And the fact that I love that he wants to do more than just work in the ring. He wants to learn every aspect of the business. That's fantastic. The firm is a great fit for Ethan Page. I love it. And I love this storyline they got going on with Matt Hardy. If, like you said, Isaiah Cassidy loses, Matt Hardy owns Private Party's, the firm owns Private Party's contract and Matt Hardy's contract. I love it. Yeah, I would love to see the broken Matt Hardy back. That's what I would love to see.
I would just love to see Private Party not be involved with anyone. I feel like they lost what made them special. But but anyway, moving on. Wardlow, as they're calling Wardlow and Samoa Joe, went up against QT Marshall and Nick Comoroto from the Factory and won, of course, which then, and that match was great. I think Samoa Joe got the pin. He did. And then Prince Nana
submitted him. He submitted him.
Submitted them. That's right. Yeah. It was a submission move. Thank you. Then Prince Nana came out with Brian Cage and the Embassy, I believe. And FTR came out, and boom, Sean Spears is back. And all of this is just leading into that big 5-on-5 that's going to happen. So, this match was great.
I have a problem with Brian Cage. I have a problem with Brian Cage, though. I mean, not knocking anybody, it's whole choice. But I feel that Brian Cage is so jacked and he's so big and muscular and in shape that corporations feel that he should automatically either deserve a belt or he should be in that spot. I don't think so, because, no offense, I was talking to a friend. Other than Brian Cage being jacked and impressively muscular, I don't really see there being much more about Brian Cage.
I mean, I don't know what side of the fence you're on with his wrestling, but his match with Wardlow last week was phenomenal to me. I've been a big fan of Brian Cage since he started in AEW, but he hasn't been utilized lately, and so I'm actually enjoying seeing more of him. I don't know what they're gonna effectively do with him as the time passes, but I always feel like it's great.
I love the Wardlow and Brian Cage match. I thought it was like Brian Cage's best match he's had in AEW. I mean, that's what I was even saying that before to my friend. I'm like, yeah, well, he's not really my slice of pie or my cup of tea, but I thought that was the best match. I thought it was a great match. I mean, like, even though people like Jim Cornette like to dig into it and make jabs at it, like saying it was horrible, I'm like, just okay, if you don't like it, that's fine. I mean, but other people might. I mean,
that's true. Anyway, I'm moving along a little quickly, people, because we have a lot to get through.
Hey, that's understandable. My podcast I do every Thursday morning, or try to do every Thursday morning. I can only really do like 60 minutes. So you got a lot you got to cram into like 60 minutes of a podcast.
Yeah, so I like to usually do my show within an hour as well. So, without like taking away from anything that we've seen, but just touching a little bit on every little piece. Jericho and the JAS had choice words for Bryan Danielson before the match between Jericho and Bryan Danielson. But the match that followed after that was Swerve Strickland versus Billy Gunn. And Swerve actually won by cheating. He used the ropes to hold Billy Gunn down in the pin and ended up winning, which then great match for what it was, because we got to remember Billy Gunn is a 60-something-year-old dude.
He's like 58. 58. Yeah.
58. I thought he was like 60. I made him
he's 58.
He's still up there in age, looks phenomenal, and can still move and take beatings. But then smart Mark Sterling came out, and right when they were getting ready to scissor, and he was like, hell no, because we now own the rights and the trademarks to scissoring, and you can't do it. They want the Acclaim to give Tony Nese, and I forgot the other dude's name, a tag match.
Josh.
You're on the right track.
Josh Woods.
Yes. They want to give Tony Nese and Josh Woods a chance at the tag titles, but until they do, they're not allowed to scissor. They're going to get sued. So Mark Sterling and Tony Nese did the scissoring yesterday, which I thought was hilarious.
I'm with JR. There's just too many lawyers. I mean, I'm with him. I mean, what? First, they take Varsity Blonde's name and call themselves the Varsity Athletes, but then again, that's why you trademark your stuff, so nobody else can use it.
True. But I mean, I like the gimmick. They're using Mark Sterling a lot, so this whole thing. A
little fun fact, which I don't think a lot of people know: Mark Sterling can actually wrestle.
Oh yes, he can. Yes. A lot of people don't know that, but hello, you have to look at his physique. Like, he keeps himself like in shape because he's still doing it. As he's still doing matches, I believe, in the indies. So
he's tag teamed with Swoggle, who was Hornswoggle in WWE. He's tag teamed with him. And I'm like, their tag team's called Better Call Small.
That's funny. Guys. Yes, that's what he says. Scissor me, daddy niece. DJ Storm's got that. I think that the Moxley, because Moxley always drops fire promos, but the Moxley / Hangman Adam Page promo that happened in ring yesterday was probably one of Hangman Adam Page's, if not one of his best promo to date in AEW. I felt it. It was amazing. I'm sure he would have wanted to go without having knocked himself out a few times because he was so into his promo that he beat himself up, Hangman Adam Page. And then he had a huge lumpy lump in his forehead that he kept touching. And I'm like, yeah, it's there. The lump's there, but
I love how he touched the lump and then he just wiped it on John Moxley's jacket. I was like, okay, that's a nice little touch. I love that. But then again, we've seen the likes of back in the day where Ric Flair would get overworked and he punched himself repeatedly and so hard that he'd just start bleeding. And I'm like, guys, you got to keep your brain protected, okay? I was like, let's not give ourselves brain damage already. I'm with you. I'm with you. I absolutely love the promo. I was with John Moxley. Mm-hmm. I'm always with John Moxley. I'm down with John Moxley. He's like my favorite AEW superstar.
Sweet.
Favorite.
He's great. He's a good one to have.
I was with John Moxley when he mentioned Adam Page being a kid. Because I agree with John Moxley. It's not the same Adam Page that we saw when Adam Page knocked John Moxley off the ladder. Okay? It's not the same Adam Page. I mean, I don't know what's going on in his personal life. I mean, I don't know. But I do feel that promo he gave was indicative of a guy who's been through a lot of frustrations. He's frustrated with his spot. He feels that's his fault that he lost the title and he wants to get it back. He's ready. He's ready to step up and take the fight to John Moxley. I absolutely love the promo.
The promo was great. I mean, he's not going to win the belts. This is obviously going to be taken by MJF, I believe, at Full Gear.
Oh yeah, that's the ironic part. Anybody, and I don't mean to call people names or whatever, but anybody who thinks, okay, here's one or two things. It's either going to be retained by John Moxley and then lost to MJF, or it's going to be won by Adam Page and then lost to MJF in the same night. So if anybody thinks that MJF is not going to cash that chip in like Tuesday, well, I'll be shocked if he does it. I will. I'll be shocked because, in my opinion, everybody expected him to do it the night of Dynamite when the title got vacated. Mm-hmm. But what's the point? All it's going to say is you handed this chip in just for them to give you the title. It would make more sense if you cashed in the chip after somebody had been beaten up and then beat them. Then you can say, hey, I won it. It just wasn't given to me.
Right.
Which is why I was conversing with, I love fans on Twitter. I do. Some fans totally get me. They totally make me laugh. They're like, one guy's like, he should have totally cashed it in when John Moxley was facing off against Bryan Danielson. I'm like, why? Because then all that starts to do is put MJF in a triple threat match, and you know who the Blackpool Combat Club is going to gang up on.
Exactly. So
MJF, he's thinking smart.
It's definitely not going to happen that way. It's definitely going to be a one-on-one. And I think that to make it believable, to really put the stamp on MJF's value, they're going to have him beat a John Moxley. You know what I mean? Like that really cements the caliber of wrestler that they're trying to put and portray MJF to be. So beating Jon Moxley is the way to do it.
Yeah, here's what I believe. I believe if you put they should have Jon Moxley win Tuesday against Adam Page, but make Adam Page look like a viable a contender, actual contender for that title. Because when Jon Moxley beats him, it's going to make Adam Page look strong anyways. Okay?
Yes.
But when MJF wins it off of Jon Moxley, then Jon Moxley, it's not gonna be like, oh, you killed the Jon Moxley character, because okay. But if Adam Page was to win that title Tuesday and then MJF come in and totally decimate Adam Page, I think you've killed the Adam Page character.
Yeah, you can't do that because you can't make Adam Page a transitional champion unless you really are trying to kill his character, because his whole character has been about building him up and him becoming strong enough to stand on his own 2 feet since he's been in AEW. So if you go and you allow that, you've really just decimated 3 years worth of character building.
Yeah.
But so I agree with you there. Anyway, next match was Jericho. I really, I don't know what was coming from this. I think Bryan Danielson is awesome, and I think that Jericho can still go. Like, still go. This was Lionheart Jericho, supposedly, who is the current Ring of Honor champion. He won it off of Claudio Castagnoli a little while ago. And he was going up against Bryan Danielson, and they were going back and forth. And at one point, it looked as though Bryan Danielson had Jericho in his grips. And who comes running down the very, 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 very long ramp? But Daniel Garcia. When he was coming, I didn't know what he was going to do. But then, what did he do? He took the belt and he hit Bryan Danielson over the face and turned this fucking Judas. Like, where did you come from? Oh my God, that was insane. I did not expect that. But when he did it, though, if you took a good look at his face, you notice that he looked a little conflicted. So this story is not over. Yeah, he stood by Jericho's side, but this ain't over. What are you?
No, not at all. I love how everybody, and me being the wrestler, you think I would have saw this coming, but that's the wonderful part that I can say even today, even though I'm a wrestler, there's still things that surprise me. I actually was not expecting Daniel Garcia to come out and hit Bryan Danielson with the belt. My wife, however, was the only person out of my whole family who was not buying it.
Really? She really thought that he was going to betray Bryan Danielson.
She didn't completely trust that Daniel Garcia was out there to help Bryan Danielson anyway. She said that a few weeks ago, and I'm like, I don't know. Maybe we'll just have to wait. She was right. I mean, my wife is smart. I mean, yes, she did marry me. I mean, but I guess everybody makes mistakes at times, I'm a hard person to deal with. But yeah, she's smart. And she's like, yeah, now either Daniel Garcia is conflicted or he's just bipolar.
I mean, that is so funny. Because my sister, because we text each other through while we're watching Dynamite, she literally texts me those exact words. Is Daniel Garcia's character bipolar? And I'm like, well, seems that way. So that is so funny that you said that. But yeah, where this goes from here, I guess we will have to wait and see. I'm definitely invested in this storyline, though. This led to a Nyla promo in the back. Y'all don't even remember, Nyla stole Jade's TBS championship and has been walking around in the back acting like she's the TBS champion. I love Nyla Rose, by the way. This chick is just funny as she wants to be. She owns Twitter. But she issued a challenge as though she was the champion, and Anna Jay answered the challenge. So it looks like on Rampage, we're getting Nyla versus Anna Jay for the TBS championship, which is not going to count either way because Jade is still the current TBS champion.
I just hope Jade didn't kill her character, because here's what I would have done. let's say Nyla Rose came and took my title. Again, I was in Jade's position. She took my title. May have not been that week, but that Dynamite, I would have shown up and I would attack her backstage and take my title back. Now what? Anna Jay's going to get the title, and then
No.
5 weeks later, Jay's going to get it back. I mean, it doesn't look good when a champion can't even hold on to their title. It doesn't look good.
I have a feeling that after the match on Rampage, Jade is going to show up in the ring and beat Nyla, because Nyla is going to keep it against Anna Jay. I'm 100% sure that's going to happen. And Jade's going to come out and whoop that ass and grab her belt and let people know I am that bitch. Y'all better stop with me and whatever. I think Jade is losing that belt to Jamie Hayter. I'm still holding on to that. I still believe that's what's going to happen, because Chris Statlander, I believe, was the person that was going to take it. And with her horrible injury, that had to be scrapped. And so
it's the wrestling business. Injuries happen. I mean, it sucks. I just had a conversation with a person who works for the other company, not AEW, but the other company. She got injured, and I said, "Here's wishing you a speedy recovery." And she ended up liking the tweet I sent, the comment I put. I was like, I do wish them all a speedy recovery. You don't want to see, I may want to beat somebody up, but you don't want to see someone get hurt, because, well, I might want to see someone get hurt, like my opponent. But I mean, fans don't want to see somebody get hurt, because then that either takes away the person you liked, or it takes away your chance to dislike the person you disliked. So,
yeah, I mean, it sucks. Chris Statlander, and I tell the story so often that everybody who's in the room consistently has heard this already, but she's the reason why I watch AEW. Like, that's the first match I saw was a Chris Statlander match, and it drew me in, and I was like, I'm back. I used to watch WWE, but I stopped 10 years before I got into AEW, which was in the end of 2019.
Oh, I thought you may have totally stopped watching because they kept putting the title on Brock Lesnar and he never showed up.
No, I stopped watching it like around 2009, 2010. And I didn't jump back into wrestling until 2019. And it was with AEW, because I happened to look, my husband was watching it, and he had been telling me about it. And I just happened to look, and a Chris Statlander match was on. And I just, so impressed. I don't have to say it. And I just was like, what is this? What women matches are like today? This is amazing. So anyway, talk about women matches. That leads us into the next match. It was Toni Storm and Hikaru Shida, who went up against Jamie Hayter and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And it was a Storm and Shida win, with Shida doing a roll-up pin on Britt Baker after a failed lockjaw. So they went back and forth. These 4 women are like some of the top women in AEW. So to have them all in the ring together is it's just so good. I just love it so much. This match was amazing.
Hikaru Shida, great woman. Great woman. Love her. Love Hikaru Shida. I love every time she wrestles, because you can tell most of the people from Japan, men and female wrestlers, they can wrestle. Probably due to their upbringing in the dojos in Japan. I mean, like, we think we hit hard.
Right.
I mean, like, Britt Baker, everybody likes to say she's like the greatest female wrestler. I don't think she is, but I believe she has improved drastically in the past year. Toni Storm, doing fantastic. Love that AEW is utilizing her. I love it. I absolutely do. And Jamie Hayter's gotten a heck of a lot better too. I mean, back when Jamie Hayter first started in AEW, I was like, she's not really. I'm not really warming up to her. But she went away for a bit, and then I'm guessing to train and get better. And she came back, and she's like drastically improved. So
I think it might have been the pandemic also that kept her away, because she was in where's she from? Britain, because it's Toni Storm's from Australia. So yeah, I think she was like away because of COVID. But I'm happy she's back. And if it couldn't have been my girl Statlander, I am very, very happy with seeing Jamie Hayter take it next. Jade has been a phenomenal inaugural champion. That is one woman who we've seen grow like right before our eyes because she is a product of AEW. So it is, her wrestling because, she does modeling and all these other things on the side. So she is already a made woman.
I like Jade Cargill. I do. Ben, you're right. She's a made woman. She made herself before she even got into wrestling. Okay.
Yes.
She's tough, yeah, but you're only going to be able to keep people impressed with the undefeated streak for so long. Back when Goldberg did the undefeated streak, yeah, it was impressive. When Andre the Giant did the undefeated streak, yeah, it was impressive. I don't think people care as much about the undefeated streak anymore as it is, okay, when she eventually loses, how is she going to be able to come back and come back stronger? That's what people are looking for, I believe.
She needs to do a change.
In my company, we have a guy named Rula Garasek. He started with the company. He debuted when we did the Wow Factor Party Pavilion in Lincolnton, North Carolina. And ever since that time, he had been defeated up until this past Saturday when we had our show. He got defeated by the champion. Got handed his first loss. Now we see when he comes back, if he comes back, what he's going to do afterwards. I think that's the angle people look towards now. Not the undefeated streak, but how can you come back after you've been defeated?
Yeah, I think the way that she would have to come back is as a face with a completely different, view, and then work her way back up. I don't think they'll do a undefeated streak again. I think it was the best way to do it for her because you made it believable that she's a monster. You made it believable that she was the correct person to have this belt. And so it made sense. It is running dry, and I love Jade Cargill. I only have nice things to say about her. I was one of those people, my husband and I, that would stand up and clap for her before anybody even cared that she was there. So
I also love that. I don't think people notice, but I also love the fact that she's a nerd. Because if you notice, when she first started coming out, her hair was white like Storm from the X-Men. She dressed up as like Jade from the Mortal Kombat series and everything. So she's a nerd, and she incorporates it into her gear, and I think that's what makes her stand out from everybody else. So
she's really cool. So I'm hoping to see what's going to come from this. The only thing I wish I would have had with this women's match was a couple of more minutes because it ended too soon for me. But anyway, what we really should be talking about here is the main event where my dude Orange Cassidy beat my dude Pac for the All-Atlantic Championship belt, which I knew was coming. I knew this was happening. Orange Cassidy has been a crowd favorite since the day that he debuted, and he's been worked into all these belt stories and never wins one. And finally, this has been a ways coming. Him and Pac have had it out a couple of times, and the last time he hit him with a hammer, and this time obviously he wasn't going to go for it. So he hit him with like 4 orange punches and got him and won. And Pac, by the way, props to Pac for being one of the best sellers. Those DDT sells were amazing. I love Pac.
Yeah.
I love that freaking wrestler. I love the way he wrestles. But congrats to Orange Cassidy. Can't wait to see what he's gonna do with the belt. If he's just gonna be
I'm glad that you mentioned the main event. I'm glad you mentioned it. We have a term in the business called there's a saying we have in the business called long-term storytelling.
Yeah, this is it.
Okay. A lot of fans today have grown impatient. They want it now and now and now, and then when they finally get what they want, they're still upset about it. Okay, because that was horrible. Well, you didn't want to wait, so they gave you what you thought you wanted. This feud has gone on for 2 years, since 2020, all the way through the pandemic, all the way, and now up to now. And the fact that they waited 2 years to put the title on Orange Cassidy,
Yes.
even though AEW's been now around for 4 years. Okay, which is
Just about.
fantastic. Um, I thought it was great. I did. I also believe that they weren't going to keep two titles on Pac for too
Yeah.
much longer
Yeah,
because
because
it's
he has
like
the
they are
triple.
said he could be a champion burning the candle at both ends because you got the All Atlantic title and the Trios title
Right.
and everything and like I get it. You put like Ultimo Dragon held like 12 titles at one time back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it, but in today's society, I mean, do you really need to hold two titles when you can hold one and still have a heck of an impressive run
Yeah.
as a trio champion or as an All Atlantic champion? Like I said, a long time coming. Yes, Orange Cassidy totally deserved it. I loved it. I loved that match. It was fantastic. I was on the edge of my seat. My wife was like, "Are they just gonna let my man win the title already?" Man, I
Well,
was
I
like,
agree with Anika in the chat who said it's a crime that best friends haven't won a single title in AEW this whole time. I felt the same way about Pride and Powerful, Santana and Ortiz.
well, the even bigger crime, in my opinion, is how have Dark Order not won a title?
I don't think they're going to win anything just yet. I think they need to get their respect back because as of right now, I feel like a lot of people see them as a joke. And even though they have high caliber wrestlers, so I really don't, and they're not intertwined into any deep storylines. So as of right now, they're not looking at any belts, I don't think. And I think that there was a comment earlier from Courtney who says that she believes that the All Atlantic belt is a Kip Sabian belt. So I didn't think that they were going to let Kip Sabian beat Pac for the belt, but I can see a Kip Sabian going up against Orange Cassidy and taking it from him.
Oh
So
yeah, after Orange Cassidy defends it successfully for a few times, because I'm a firm believer of this. If you're gonna have the person lose the title right after they've already won it, what's the point of putting the title on them? They now lose all credibility as a believable champion. So they should let Orange Cassidy successfully defend the title, like one or two or three times,
agreed.
and maybe even go a few months with the title, and then have Kip Sabian come in or somebody else come in and defeat him for the title. I'd love to see my man Preston Vance get a title run because that guy's like insanely good shape. I
Yeah,
mean, insanely
he's
good shape. And I'm like, come on, give my man Preston Vance a title reign.
as
Come
my,
on.
my husband says, free number 10 and free Johnny Hungy.
Yeah.
Courtney says Dark Order is dead. They do need to be revived.
Yeah.
And Anika, right before we get into the hot seat, this comment right here, girl, those people who know how I feel about Proud and Powerful, about Santana and Ortiz, just go back to some of my other shows so you can hear some of my freaking rants. I love AEW, but the way I feel about those two guys not getting an opportunity as tag champs, when Jurassic Express won, and don't get me wrong, their reign was, they had a great run, but when they won, I was like, get the out of here. How did this happen? Before my dudes got it. And now there's probably no chance. It's probably never going to happen. So we're going to move on from there because I'll be here every single. See, my husband already knows. Don't get her started, Anika. Don't get me started. I'll be at this all day. And guess what? We are at the moment where we go into the hot seat.
The hot seat. Yeah. I love the pressure. Bring on the questions.
So I'm going to ask you 4, so 3 plus a bonus, random would you rather questions. Although the last one is not a would you rather question, it's more of a deep question, and I tend to ask this question as a repeat question, and it's not really like analytical, so you don't really get too deep into it. It's this or it's that.
Okay.
Y'all good?
Okay.
You ready?
Good. Yes.
Courtney says she's a hot seat pro. All right.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Mass Menace. Would you rather always wake up surrounded by spiders in your bed, or always wake up in a remote location outside in the wilderness where you always have to commute home to start your day?
So it's either wake up with spiders or wake up in remote wilderness and then have to come home and start my day.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with remote wilderness. One, because I'm not a huge fan of spiders crawling all over me. I don't have arachnophobia, but I mean, I don't think I want those spiders crawling all over me either.
Listen, I'm there with you. I hate bugs. All right, question 2. Would you rather always have dial-up? And for those in the room who don't know what dial-up is, too bad. When you use the internet, or never be able to go on the internet ever again?
Well, since I feel like having dial-up is almost as similar as never having the internet again, I'm gonna go with the second one. I was like, no, we grew up in a time where it's like, and then you finally get hooked to the internet, and then phone calls and you're off the internet. I was like,
Yes.
oh,
You kicked me off. Yes. The wonderful times of
the
dial.
only thing worse than having dial-up is having Frontier.
I don't even know what that is.
You're lucky because we have Frontier Internet, and like we're paying ungodly amounts of money for it, and
I got Comcast.
at times it's off at 4 days at a time. So it's almost like not having internet anyway. So I'll go with the not having internet.
Yes, Anika. Give me that AOL you got mail. Oh, the AOL chat rooms.
Mail. Yeah.
Oh Lord. That takes me back. That's a story for another day. Next question. Would you rather listen to different music of a genre that you do not like for the rest of your life? So you can only listen to music of genres that you don't like for the rest of your life, or only be able to listen to your favorite song for the rest of your life. So it's either that one song that you love forever, or you can listen to a whole bunch of different music, but only of genres that you can't stand.
You really want to strap me into the electric chair here, don't you? Well, I also feel like listening to your favorite song on repeat every day for the rest of your life would almost start feeling like listening to a song you really hate. But I'm also not a fan of having to listen to Justin Bieber, so I'm going to go with listen to my favorite song, on repeat for the rest of my life.
Agreed. I think I'll start just singing my own music at that point.
No, I'm not going to sing because my wife would be like, just put it on the same song for the rest of the life. She's like, you're worse. I was like, I cannot sing. I can't sing. I can't carry a tune. I'm tone deaf. So
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. You're a wrestler. So here is the bonus question. Okay.
Okay.
If you could come back, like reincarnation, if you whether you believe in it or not, would you choose to come back? What would you choose to come back as? And if you choose to come back as a human, would you have a particular race in mind, or it doesn't matter? And I asked my last guest this question too.
Let's see. See, I've never actually been asked that question. Me being Christian, a lot of us don't believe in reincarnation. We believe there's one life, and once you live it, that's it. Okay. Right. I'm kind of a different kind of a Christian where I believe, well, maybe we've had this one life, but maybe we're repeating the same life over and over again. Like, because I know stories where you remember things that didn't happen, but you could sworn that it happened. Maybe it's the Mandela effect. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be an Egyptian back in that time because they had it really horribly.
It'll be these times. It'll be future times. So things are different.
Future times. Okay.
It could be an animal too. It doesn't have to be a human.
I'm gonna go with a horse. I like horses because they're free, especially like the wild mares, the colts that you see running out into the world and out in the fields, and they're free and they're running with the wind going through their hair, through their mane and all. I always thought that was great. Horses are like one of my favorite animals. So
sweet.
I've never rode a horse though, unless you count the horses in the carousels, which I don't think anybody does. So
I don't think people really understand how painful riding a horse is, like the first few times that you ride one, because your body is not used to the way you have to sit, and it's painful to be, like your legs, your thighs, your butt. Oh, it hurts, but it is an experience, so you should.
I think I can kind of compare that to being suplexed repeatedly in the middle of the ring too. It's
right. So I think you could take a horse riding. My husband thinks that horses are really cool pets because they're like the only pets you can ride. So
yeah, they're cool pets, but they're expensive.
They are expensive. So do like we did and get a dog.
I have a dog. My dog's actually laying right in front of me at this very moment.
My dog was in my room, but he has left me.
Hold on. This is my dog right here. Look at that. This is my dog, my Boston Terrier. Well, I actually call her the Boston Terror. And,
the Boston Terrier. Beautiful. Yeah. Oh, you're so cute.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I love dogs.
She always tries to follow me. She has this habit. I come in here. This is where I work out in. I come in here to bench some weight and whatever, and then she'll lay on the pillow that I lay my head on so I can't work out, so she keeps me from working out.
That's funny. That is funny. Anyway, guys, this is it. We've come to the end of the show. Mr. Arch Masked Menace. Once again, thank you so much for coming on my show, people. I will be editing the description with all the links to Mr. Arch's stuff. So make sure you check back. Thank you guys for everyone who joined. It has been a pleasure. Have yourselves a good night and keep it real. And don't forget, a lot of love, peace, and of course, wrestling. Until next time, people. Have a good one. Let me see if I can get us out of here. Boom.
Oh, yeah.
Bye, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Top rope, squish. Top rope, squishy. Yeah. Top rope. Let's get it. Top rope. Look, all I know is when the time lies.